The Secret Gamble of Old Tom Turner, a tale of luck, lies and loss. In the quiet town of Maplewood, buried deep in the forests of the American Midwest, folks whisper about Old Tom Turner. Once a well-known gambler and storyteller, Tom was a man of charm, wit, and a reputation that clung to him like the smoke in the town's only saloon. The townsfolk remember the night he placed a scandalous bet that shook the entire town, changing his life and theirs forever. So gather around and listen closely. There's a lesson hidden here, a warning that's as relevant now as it was in old Tom's day. Chapter 1. A Stranger with a Secret. Turner had never been the honest type, but he was well loved. With his sharp grin and quick hands, he could turn any conversation into a laugh. Everyone in town knew Tom liked to gamble and often played a little dirty, yet his luck kept him from real trouble. One chilly autumn night, a stranger arrived at the Maplewood saloon. He wore a long, dark coat, and his eyes glinted with an unsettling wisdom. Old Tom, ever the gambler, took an immediate interest in the stranger. He sauntered over with his usual grin and introduced himself, offering a game of cards. The stranger gave Tom a long look and finally replied, "I don't play for small stakes." With a smirk, the stranger whispered, "I'll play you for the most precious thing you have, or will ever have." Tom laughed, thinking this was just some dramatic nonsense. He'd heard it all before, but the stranger's eyes remained calm, like he'd already won. Without much thought, Tom accepted, not realizing the true stakes of the game. Chapter 2. The game begins. The entire saloon was abuzz as the two men took their seats across the battered card table. Tom was in his element, boasting and laughing with the onlookers, while the stranger remained silent and composed, shuffling the deck with practiced ease. The game began, each man studying the other as they laid down cards. At first, Tom held the upper hand, winning the first few rounds. His confidence grew, and he dared to make bold bets to the amusement of the crowd. But then, just when it seemed that Tom was winning too easily, his luck shifted. The stranger played a hand that stunned everyone in the room. Round after round, the stranger continued to win. Desperation welled up inside Tom, but he couldn't back out now. He doubled down on each loss, until finally he had nothing left to give. He stared in shock as the stranger leaned forward, his voice barely more than a whisper. "Remember our deal, Tom. The most precious thing you have, or will ever have." Chapter 3. The Shocking Consequence. Tom shrugged it off, thinking he'd merely lost a good sum. But as he left the saloon, the stranger's words lingered. Days passed, and he realized that bad luck followed him wherever he went. His friends stopped trusting him, and strange incidents began happening around town, each one somehow connected to him. His land was flooded, his cattle vanished, and his own children began to look at him with suspicion. The town soon discovered that everything Tom valued was slipping away, piece by piece. He tried to win back his losses in new games, but every time he gambled, he lost something even more valuable. One day, the stranger returned, and the entire town gathered to see the confrontation. "What did I lose to you?" Tom demanded, his once charming voice now shaky. The stranger just looked at him sadly and said, "Your pride and your family's trust. Every time you chose to bet over honesty, you lost a piece of them." Chapter 4. The Moral of the Tale. The townsfolk watched as old Tom fell silent. It dawned on him that his careless decisions hadn't just affected him, they'd eroded the trust of everyone he loved. In the end, he hadn't just lost his money. He'd gambled away his character, his reputation, and his family's faith in him. From that day on, Tom became a different man. He worked hard to regain his family's trust, understanding that some losses can't be easily won back. It took years of humility and honesty, but he finally mended his broken relationships. He never gambled again, except in the fields, where he bet on rain and hard work instead of cards and luck.